Party.
Honourable Mary Ann Street.
Mr Chairman, it gives me great pleasure, in fact a deal of satisfaction, to rise to speak to the Medicines Amendment Bill. I had the privilege of being on the Health Select Committee under the chairmanship of Dr Paul Hutchison when it was debated and reported back in August of 2012. But prior to that, Mr Chairman, I was also on the Health Select Committee in 2006, 2005, when this was first debated, when this first came into the House. So I have lived with this piece of legislation, albeit on the back burner, as my colleague has said, for a very long time. And I remember, because Tony Ryall was the opposition health spokesperson and we worked on the Health Select Committee together, or not, as the case may be, but we happened to be on the Health Select Committee together, and I remember the parade of red umbrellas. It was the red umbrella protest, and I'm sorry if there are members opposite who have come into this House subsequently to the 2005 election and did not know of that performance, and now have to sit here listening while the Labour opposition rightly sheets the blame for the delay in this legislation home to the National Party. If it's embarrassing for you, for them, Mr Chairman, so it should be. So it should be, because this was in front of the Health Select Committee in my first term in Parliament from 2005 onwards. Mr Chairman, the Honourable Tony Ryall saw fit to side with a set of protesters whose arguments ranged from the patently ludicrous to the quite sensible but worthy of debate, but who gathered together because of a range of measures, and they saw this opportunity for a political score against the Labour government at the time. So instead of looking to see whether the bill was going to benefit the health and welfare of New Zealanders, Tony Ryall saw fit only to do what Tony Ryall does best, and that is calculate the political benefits and ups and downs. And I have to say, Mr Chairman, I consider that to be the way the Minister continues to operate the health portfolio now. A half a dozen measurable outputs in the health portfolio that everything has to be squeezed into so that he can sing his sunny song constantly about how well health is progressing. Any other stories, the true ones, about people who can't get onto waiting lists to get operations, or whose blood glucose meters are seriously jeopardising their health, do not make it into Tony Ryall's narrative. Do not make it, because he is only here for politics. He is not here for people. And this is an historic reminder that that is this minister's modus operandi. He will look to the politics before he looks to the content. And so we had this ludicrous situation with two new members on the Health Select Committee, one a former general practitioner, Dr Jonathan Coleman, and one a former breast physician, Dr Jackie Blue. And they were compelled by Tony Ryall to oppose this, even though they knew it offended every professional ethic that they had. Jonathan Coleman had no trouble sacrificing his professional ethics, but Jackie Blue did have trouble sacrificing her personal ethics. However, that's history now, but let us not forget it. And those members opposite who do not know that history, it is important that they do understand it, Mr Chairman, because it is part of this, the progress, or the lack of it, of this bill. This Medicines Amendment Bill modernises the Medicines Act. It is only, Mr Chairman.
Honourable Marianne Street.
Thank you, Mr Chairman. It is only a temporary measure until the Therapeutics Products and the Therapeutic Products Authority, that is the Australia-New Zealand Therapeutic Products Authority, is set in place. When that is set in place, that will overtake the provisions of this bill. However, the purpose of the provisions of this bill was to actually expand the ability of health practitioners to be able to prescribe, and so that one didn't have to go to a doctor all the time, one could go to a designated prescriber who came under the jurisdiction, the oversight, the supervision of an authorised prescriber. Mr Chairman, I'm not going to take up any more time over this. We support this bill because we invented it, because it's good for New Zealanders.
The question is that the Minister's typescript amendments on SOP 270 be agreed to. Those of that opinion, a point of order.
I'm sorry, was this an SOP in the name of the Minister? Was there one that was withdrawn? Yes, there was.
There was. This is not the one that was withdrawn.
Clearly, thank you.
So that's SOP 270. Those in favour will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that the Minister's amendment set out on SOP 270 as amended be agreed to. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. The question now is that parts 1 and 2, the schedules and clauses 1 to 3 as amended stand part. Those of that opinion will say aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. I will report this bill with amendment.
Members, the House is resumed. Mr Chairman.
Mr Speaker, the committee has considered the Medicines Amendment Bill and reports it with amendment. So, Mr Speaker, I move that the report be adopted.
The question is that the report be adopted. Those of that opinion will say aye. To the contrary, no. The ayes have it. The bill is set down for third reading forthwith.